Good morning. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Welcome. Smash that like button first of all. So important to the independent content creators that you get that done. So smash it right now. Hit the retweet button if you're watching on Twitter as well. And make sure whatever platform you're watching on, you subscribe to the Football Terrace and you sign up to our Discord server. The link for that is in the description below of the YouTube video. I know most of you are watching here on YouTube. We're here to talk transfers this morning. It's been an interesting 24 hours or so for Manchester United, with interesting rumours surrounding Amad Diallo or Amad Traore, whichever one of the name. Well, they're all these names, by the way. Just gets referred to as something different depending upon the journalist of which you follow. But there was big rumours yesterday that maybe his move to Man United would be delayed. Maybe he would stay at Atalanta for another 6 months or so. That has now been quashed. He will be a Manchester United player this January. The move is the move has been completed. The issues surrounding visas and passports have been absolutely resolved. It's a matter of days now before we see him unveiled in a Manchester United shirt. It is going to happen. Of course, there is a hell of a lot of excitement surrounding this young man. The talent, the ceiling. He's so well coveted and thought after. And it's interesting because I don't spend a lot of my personal time researching young up and coming players. I just don't. It isn't something I find to be overtly appealing. Only when a player is suddenly linked to a major move do I start to research. And if you go over the last couple of seasons and read what professional pundits and scouts have said about Amad Diallo, United are signing a player with buckets of ability, huge volumes of potential. Whether or not he can convert that into consistent play and, of course, outputs over a 2 to 3 to 4 year period is another question. But it's certainly exciting to know that he is coming to Manchester United Football Club. That deal will happen. As I say, I saw lots of rumours yesterday circulating on various social media accounts, Twitter accounts, Insta, a few YouTube channels reporting that the deal to Man United was being delayed. That isn't the case. He will be a Manchester United player. That's going to happen this month. So don't worry about that at all. Moises Caicedo is another interesting one as well, because a lot of people, he was heavily linked to Man United just a few short weeks ago. Everybody thought the deal was going to happen very, very soon. There's been a stalling of that. And a report from Fabrizio Romano that he put out very late last night, sort of 2-3 o'clock in the morning, said that on Caicedo, talks have been going on for weeks. Personal terms and the club agreement is not a problem. In the next few days, Man United will decide whether to sign him or not. So essentially, the deal for Moises Caicedo is done. Personal terms are not an issue. The clubs have pretty much come to an agreement in and around the pricing and structuring of the player. It is simply down to Manchester United now. Do Manchester United want to trigger the signing of this young man or not? That's up to them. And I suppose their decision this January, it's an interesting one, really, because neither Diallo or Caicedo, I think, are looked at as players that are going to... I don't think either are looked at as players that are going to come in January and help with the title push. There's an outside chance, Diallo, essentially, but these are more players for the future. These are players, I think, that we're looking at a 2 or 3 year plan for, as opposed to that sort of that Bruno Maguire, Cavani, Tellers instant impact players that are going to come in and hit the ground running. Having said that, I thought Donny van der Beek would have played a much bigger part in our season so far, and that hasn't happened. So you can be surprised. But both those deals look in very good positions from Manchester United's point of view. It isn't, the players don't want to not come. There isn't dispute between the clubs. There are not problems with agents. These deals are both in Manchester United's hand. They're both two of the most highly rated and highly coveted players in their positions around the world. And I'm very, very excited about the prospects of these two deals happening for Manchester United. Amad Diallo, 110% confirmed. He will be joining Manchester United this month. Ignore any of the BS rumors that it may be off, that it may be delayed. That is simply and utterly not the case. Not the case at all. Complete and utter lies, complete and utter fabrication. he will be a Manchester United player this month. And Moises Caicedo, Man United have got the deal agreed. Personal terms are not going to be a problem at all. It's just down to whether Man United want him or not. So if he doesn't come, it's a Man United choice. It's as simple and it's as straightforward as that. Josh here with a super chat. You can get your questions in for me right now, people. It says here, even getting these players, they are still a concern. Sorry. Even getting these players, there is still a concern of the overlap of time needed to become a first-team regular, especially in the Matic position. Of course there is. And I think whenever you sign young players, you never quite know how they're going to work out. And I made the point the other day, Renato Sanchez going to Bayern Munich. I remember the Man United fan base being absolutely horrified that we didn't make that signing. Horrified. No one cares anymore. I remember when we were heavily linked with João Felix, we didn't get him. Now, last season, he didn't have a great year. And it was looked, wasn't it great that we didn't spend 120 million euros on João Felix when we have Mason Greenwood? Now, this season, João Felix has kicked on. He's performing better. So you start to hear the murmurings again of, we should have bought him. That's the thing when you sign these young players. If they don't hit the ground running or go somewhere else and they don't turn into the players we imagine they would be, we kind of, thank God we didn't get them. But in the moment, in the instant that these deals are being discussed and debated, it's like, we need to sign him. He's the future. He's this, he's that. I am always a little bit more relaxed with these things. I'm very excited about both these individuals coming to Manchester United. But what neither of them have done yet, they're not doing Haaland. They're not tearing it up in one of the major European leagues. They are quite literally fledglings with barely any experience, with huge ceilings, massive potential, gargantuan potential, and that's it. So be excited, but remove any level of expectation. Remove any level of expectation that they're going to come in and they're going to be the next Kante. Diallo is going to come in and be the next Cristiano Ronaldo. Remove that idiocracy from your minds, because all that expectation does is lead to huge frustration, anger, and then abuse for the players when it goes wrong. The pattern is so clear, obvious, and easy to see. A comment here from Manu says, Diallo, Greenwood, James, Palestri, our right wing looks like potential and growth players will be played. Who knows? Yeah, listen, what's amazing about that? I mean, we haven't seen Palestri play at this level yet. We haven't seen Diallo play at this level yet. But my hope is that they're both better than Dan James. And the reason, and there isn't a knock at Dan James himself, it's me looking at it from the point of view that I always want my team to continue getting better, to continue improving, to continue to progress. And idealistically, every signing you make should be to replace somebody or fill a hole. But each time the quality gets better. You should always aim for the quality to get better. During my martial arts career, my instructor at the time and sort of coach, he had this philosophy that he wanted to teach us all to be better martial artists than him, to have more knowledge than him, and to be better teachers than him. And his philosophy was if generation needs to improve the next so that the quality of your art becomes better, not the other way around. If I teach my students to be within my capabilities and then they teach theirs the same, within 4 generations of teaching, the overall quality capitulates, it falls away, it erodes. The same should be looked at with your football squad. If we need a new backup right back. Well, can we sign a player that's better than our current backup right back? It improves your overall quality. We've got to replace our first team creative midfielder. Well, let's try. It's not always plausible to find a better, even now, or someone with a ceiling to be a better CDM or creative midfielder. That is what you should always be aiming for. And I would say Man United have failed at that in the last 15 years. So it's great to see these kind of players on their way in. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Terry, Haaland or Sancho to United, pick one. Do I have to? I mean, right now it would be Sancho due to the imbalance we have in the squad. If Palestri or Diallo comes in and they kill it and that right-hand side feels adequately covered, then I would go Haaland. I mean, that would be my view. Sanja Hussein here says, hey, Terry, I think United will get Caicedo. A journalist who first reported the rumor said now the transfer is taking time because Caicedo is taking a long time to get his work permits. That always tends to start. I always hate that, and that can sound really horrible. The one thing about it's not their issue, it's a UK issue. You sign these super talented players, South America, it can be from sort of Asian countries, African countries, and it's so hard to get them in because of work permits and visas. Like, surely if a forget a company the Man United size is signing a youngster like this, that level of talent they must have for United to want to sign them, that should just be an instant qualifier for a visa. It shouldn't even be hard, It should be literally a 10-minute application online. Oh, Man United are signing you on a professional contract. Yes, there's your visa. Not just Man United, anyone in the Premier League. It should just be they should do that deal, with the government. It should just be easy, bruv. Like, it really should. It really should be easy. Thank you very much here to Jacob for signing up and becoming a brand new member of the Football Terrace. Everyone who's tuning in, please smash that like button for us right now. Really important to the Terrace that you get that done. Josh, another member here, says, I would love to know what sort of systems are being played through the youth ranks. I feel as if Pellistri is playing in a right midfield and Oli plays him as a right winger. It could set him back. I don't think there's a huge differential. I don't watch a lot of the academy stuff anymore. I don't watch any of it because I simply refuse to pay MUTV any money because I don't give money to the Glazers as it stands. I just won't do it. I doubt there's going to be. I don't think Ollie's stupid enough to allow the youth systems to be playing in a completely different manner. I think that's part of the reason why Kieran McKenna was upgraded to the first team, to try and get that transition right. And to be fair, the majority of our youngsters have done very well since coming into the club. So I would be fairly confident about that. And by the way, Jacob, become a legendary member of the Football Terrace as well. Thank you very, very much for signing up and doing that, my friend. It means a great deal. Yusuf Mohammed here says, 1 point we actually miss is team balance improves attacking and defensive outputs. Of course it does. We spoke about, honestly, I mean this. If Diallo comes in and he's very good on that right-hand side, it will improve Manchester United across the whole pitch, because we won't be so reliant on our left-hand side, which means that you can spread the play more. There's less pressure on certain. If we're always playing the ball down the left-hand side, the counter-attack is always going to happen in one particular place. I also think it means we end up tucking in too much. And it's part of the reason why we keep getting caught out on the right-hand side where balls get crossed when the play gets switched across quickly, because we're too heavily weighted to our left-hand side. I think it could solve a number of areas by doing that. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Big up Jacob there from Josh. A little message from him. Terry, do you enjoy watching Mandem FC? What, Crystal Palace? I don't not enjoy it. This is the thing. Like, I enjoy some of what I see. My frustration with particular players is never a lack of enjoyment in watching them. It's them getting spoken about as if they're absolute tip-top players when they're not. You really have to listen to what I'm saying there. I have been watching the academy. We play the same style in the youth team and the main team. We will definitely have to let go of some phenomenal youth players. And that's quite normal. I think what Man United need to get better at doing is signing these boys up to bigger, longer pro contracts, loaning them out, building up their valuation, equally bringing in money through the loan system and then selling them. Chelsea's model of doing that is impeccable. Terry, do you think Pellistri will start against Watford? I don't know, but I hope so. I don't know, but I truly hope that he gets an opportunity out there to go and play and to go and do his thing. I really, really mean that. I hope he gets an opportunity to go out there and do it, play his trade and show us what he's made of, essentially. I just want to see. And whether or not he does a good job or a bad job, of course I want him to do a great job. I just want to see. Because playing for the academy is one thing, but at the end of the day, first team football is first team football is first team football, and there is no substitute for it. Michael here, another one of our beautiful members, says, I still want to see Laird play. Yeah, me too. I'd love to see that young lad given an opportunity. And that brings us on nicely. It's a lovely segue into the other update here today in relation to Max Aarons. Fabrizio has come out and spoke about this as well, saying United is still in the same position. They appreciate him, but nothing advanced or imminent now. that tells me we're not looking at him heavily at this moment in time during the January window. More of it is about paper talk than anything else. Yusuf here says Palestri isn't ready for first team yet. I've watched him enough to know. Don't rush him. DJ here says Terry Grealish or Sancho this summer. It's so hard. I still am edging towards Sancho. And as amazing as Grealish is, if I had to choose between the two, the right-hand side of our attack is where we're imbalanced. Although Grealish is just ridiculous. He's just ridiculously good. The way, do you know the thing is, right? The way he just skipped past nearly everybody in our team with ease. You know, I'll give you this little bit of advice now when it comes to watching footballers. If a footballer looks like he's got all the time in the world, if it looks like he has 10 minutes at a time to make a simple pass, that means he's world class. The more time a player appears to have is all about their positioning, their movement, and also people's lack of want to try and tackle them. So the likes of Zaha and Adama Traore, they're brilliant dribblers, but it's all about a little flick, a little trick, and then speed. Jack Grealish is an elite level dribbler because he beats people without having electrifying pace, which means it's all about the ball retention, which means it's all about body movement, which means it's all about sheer guile. He's quick. I'm not saying he's a slouch, but it's just, it reminds me of Zidane. Do you know, I'll give you an example? Ronaldinho, Messi, these players. Yes, they have speed behind them, but they could still do it without the blistering speed. It was the ball control these men had. And I look at Grealish, he ain't at their level, but he's of a very, very high standard. There's no doubt. Michael says Grealish finds it too easy. Listen, he does make it look easy. He makes it look very, very easy indeed. He really, really does. What that time thing you said about Grealish is quite correct. Oh, sorry, there we go. I read that and I didn't understand it, and then it clicked into my head. I was like, what time? Oh yeah, the time thing I was just talking about. Sorry, my head literally wasn't working there when you first said that. Do me a favor, people, smash that like button this morning. We're going to open up the lines soon for you to call in. We're going to share the link for you to call in on the Discord server. So make sure you're on that. Shane here, another brilliant member of the Football Terry, says, if Diallo goes in the first team, it will be interesting if he stays out wide, because left-footed wingers who play on the right will cut inside and drift to the center to get more shots on goal. They do, and I think it's a really good tactic. You can tell Rashford prefers playing on the left for that exact reason. It's all about how dangerous somebody is, how potent they are, because if Diallo is potent and dangerous and he drags a player or two in with him, it will give more time to whoever fills that position on the right, namely AWB, meaning hopefully we can get some more crosses into that box, just like we saw the other night. David Yoke here says, Terry, considering United have a right-wing problem, will you take Pepe at United for 35 million? No, bro. Like, Pepe he's Dan James level, but he's got a few more tricks. He's Dan James level, bruv. Like, he ain't worth 35 mil. I wouldn't pay 15 million pounds for Pepe. So absolutely not. He is one of the most bang average, overrated, one trick pony ability merchants I have ever seen in my life. The Premier League, British football is too much for him. Can't handle the speed. He can't handle the intensity. He can't handle the fact that he doesn't have ample time to pull things off. Give him time and space. He's brilliant. But there ain't time and space in the Premier League. Not on the regs anyway. Not on a regular basis. So absolutely not. Not in a month of Sundays. Get your questions in now, though, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions you want, we will prioritize member chats and super chats always. If you want to get that read out, get that done. Twisted says, James Zaha. Would I swap Zaha for Dan James? If it was a swap deal, yes. Zaha is better than Dan James. Simple as that for me. Thank you very much here to what I think it's Waira for becoming an official member here. Means a great deal to me. Look at this here. Smith Rowe is better than Bruno. Oh, wow. I did see a Gooner last night say on AFTV that Smith Rowe has a peak Xavi brain. A peak Xavi brain. I repeat, a peak Xavi brain. So it has the brain of prime Xavi is what he actually said. Let me share this on the screen. I ain't making this up. This is 110% legit, people. Here it is. That is what was said. Look at that. I don't know who that guy is, right? I've never seen. I've never. Imagine this is why I love Arsenal fans. 3 wins from 3 at the last 3 matches, and Smith Rowe is as good as Xavi. Yeah, it's a madness, bruv. That was legitimately said. Legitimately said. Legit. Comment here from Yusuf says the media always links us to other teams' targets like Botman. We aren't even in the Botman race. They just want us to look like we lost the race. Of course they do. There's a huge Man United agenda. There's a huge Man United agenda. And, you know, we called it out yesterday when we did the fan channel review show. Man United's penalties. All Man United's penalties. Have anyone noticed how many Leicester have had? Like, Leicester have only had 2 penalties less than us since the start of last season. No one's crying about Leicester getting lots of penalties, only Man United. Why? Because Bruno's taken them and they're annoyed with how well Bruno has done in the Premier League. And because we're suddenly joint top. Suddenly there's this conspiracy theory and it needs to be a thorough internal investigation into the awarding of Man United penalties. Leicester, it don't matter. Liverpool fans this season cry, man, I get so many penalties. We've had 6 this season, you've had 5. They are hardly disparating numbers. You know? It's crazy. In the last year, we did get more than you. So what? Have you looked over the last 5-6 years to see where it lands? No, you're picking a very selective point where United have had to consider it almost double you. But how about you go over a 3 or 4 year period? Maybe Man United have still had more, but who knows? I just think it's absolutely ridiculous the way these things get called out like that. There's a huge bias towards Man United. You know, every time we do something, you remember when AWB signed and we suddenly were getting told by professional football pundits that making tackles actually means you're a bad defender. Being good at tackling actually means you're a bad defender. Have you noticed how that's disappeared? Have you noticed how that's suddenly gone awry? Like, that agenda only got pushed for a few weeks. It's a madness, bruv. It's a madness. An absolute madness. United here says, Terry, mate, do you think Maguire and Bay is a title-winning centre-back partnership? They're better football players than Wes Morgan and Huth. So why not? You know, are they as good as Rio and Vidic? No, they're not. Are they, you know, are they a better combination than what Liverpool have got right now? Probably. So why not? In the context of this season, they're good enough. Are we talking about the greatest centre-back pairing of all time? No. No. But that isn't that shouldn't be the question. Thank you, Strip Bear. Long time no see. Not seen you in a while on the stream. There we go. Well, it says here that it goes VAR and refs award penalties, not United. Of course it's true. But, you know, if Man United, and because of what the amount Leicester have been awarded, why? Imagine we're paying. You know, we're paying the FA. I saw a Liverpool fan crying in a post earlier on today. God, the Premier League and VAR are trying to give Man United the league. What do you mean the Premier League? What the Premier League got to do with it? And why are we awarding Leicester more penalties than Man United if we try? It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Oh, look at this. Look at this. The difference between Leicester's penalties and Man United's penalties is United are using penalties to win a match 1-0 or 2-1, but Leicester win 3-0, 4-3-0. Okay, so Leicester's penalties are not decisive. The goals scored are not decisive in games, but Man United's are. What's that got to do with the awarding of penalties? So you think Man United are being awarded penalties just to help them win games because there's a conspiracy theory against Liverpool to stop Liverpool winning the league? Then why didn't they do that? Why didn't they stop Liverpool winning the league last year? Do you know what I mean? Why didn't they do that? It don't make sense. And where have the Premier League and the FA and the referees been for the last 8 years? Where have they been? what have they? Did we forget to pay them? What happened? Did the brown envelope get lost? If we're paying them, if there's a conspiracy theory, why haven't they helped us win the league in the last 8 years? Do you know why we haven't won the league in the last 8 years? Because we weren't good enough to. Do you know why we've had more penalties in the last 18 months than Liverpool? Because we've been fouled in the box more times in the last 18 months than Liverpool. There is no conspiracy theory. There are no lizards running the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? It's a madness, bruv. It's an absolute madness. The next thing you're going to see is Liverpool fans blaming 5G, bruv. They're going to be blaming 5G. Madness. Madness. Thank you very much to Nikhil for becoming an official member of the Football Terrace, a first team member as well. That means a great deal to us here at the Terrace. Make sure you're smashing those like buttons, people. It's really important to the Football Terrace that you do that right about now. Hit the like button, hit the share button, get yourself involved that way, please. Let's see a few more. What's it say? What's this one here say? Or does Man United have more control inside the box and understand when shots aren't available, they dribble and take the challenge? Yeah, I mean, no one ever looks at it from a tactical point of view, an intelligence point of view. It could even be the other way, though. And I said this last night in the Fan Channel Review show. Maybe teams pay us less respect in the box and Leicester less respect in the box than they do Liverpool. So their concentration levels are not as high. Meaning they make more mistakes. Like they make more mistakes as a club and make more fouls against us in the box because they don't respect us as much as you. Like there's probably a logical reason for it. I mean, the biggest one being you just don't get fouled as much in the box as Man United do. It's as simple and it is as straightforward as that. Deal with it. It's finished. Liverpool are losing grip of the title and can't deal with the emotion. I don't even think they're losing grip of the title. I think what they've lost grip of is being invincible, being almost unhuman-like, ungodly almost, just in terms of the way they were relentless. That has gone. That has gone. And because that's gone, they're panicking. I posted, as we all saw, the sort of statistics that look at sort of the points per game over the course of the last nearly 12 months. Oh, did you get a trophy for that? Nah, bruv. Nobody wants a trophy for it. Then why are you posting about it? Because it's important to look at. It's important to look at the trajectory of both our teams. It really is. And what I find really interesting is the linear line. One's going up, one's going down. Liverpool need to improve their form. If it doesn't, their form of the last 11 months needs to improve from this point. If it doesn't, and Man United's continues, if Liverpool's form for another 5 to 6 games continues on this downward trajectory, and Man United continues on the upward trajectory, just for 5 games, and then both only flatline for the rest of the season, it's a mathematical and scientific certainty that Man United win the league. Certainty. So all I'm pointing out to Liverpool fans is you pretending your form's okay, you pretending everything's all right is folly. It's absolute folly. You must. It is imperative that you improve. Deal with it. Absolutely deal with it. And and not just improve in the last 3 or 4 matches, improve on your last 11 months form. Review what you've done in the last 11 months. That needs to improve by about 10, at a quicker rate than Man United. It's got to be around 10% improvement over the next 5 to 10 games, and then flatlining might work as long as Man United don't improve beyond that level, which I don't think we're capable of doing. I don't think we are. It's basic stuff here. It's not difficult. Super chat here says, if Man United squad isn't equal to the fully fit Liverpool and they are a level, if Man United squad isn't equal to the fully fit Liverpool and they are level on points because of their current squad, doesn't it mean Ollie is doing better than Klopp, who is reliant on players here? Respect. Well, yeah, I suppose this is what's interesting to look at, really. They have had injury problems, Liverpool, but they were so superior to Man United last year. A couple of injuries to their squad. You're right. That levels out how good our squad is and their squad is. But the superior manager should always rise to the top. And that's why them having injuries is a reason for a regression of points. Them being 29% worse off points-wise, accumulating some of that down to player injuries, I think is acceptable. But not retaining their Premier League title, if it is indeed to an Ollie or to a Lampard, is unforgivable because they still have a better squad even with the injuries. They still have a better manager even with the injuries. There is no excuse for them. But I still think they're going to win the league, by the way. They're still the favourites for it. Let's not get twisted about that. Ryan here says, Liverpool fans forgetting about Salah diving. Of course they do. Of course they do. They love to do that. Liverpool can't mention their heavy metal football soon as they have to deal with some heavily medicated football with all the injuries piling up, paying the price for not refreshing the whole squad. I think that's also a big thing that Liverpool fans like to ignore. That the reason their squad is maybe too thin is because their club didn't back Klopp enough. They didn't buy enough. They didn't invest enough. And a lot of their signings have been flops because of injury. If Naby Keita wasn't so injury prone, if Oxlade-Chamberlain wasn't so injury prone, so far Thiago has proven to be nothing but a crock. Those three signings alone make the squad weaker because they're not there. Matip is an injury crock. They allowed Lovren to go and didn't replace him. Like, outside of that, it's all on them. It is on them, Do you think we should do any business this window if we are going to contend with Liverpool? I think Man United should try and sign somebody. I really do. I feel like, I sort of feel like not signing anybody would be a disappointment in my eyes. I would love to see us go for it. I'd love to see us really try hard. Paul here says Thiago was taken out by Richarlison. Yeah, okay. All right, mate. Cool. Yeah. Cool. Of course. Sweet. If that's what you listen, that's cool. I guarantee you he picks up at least 2 more injuries this season. I guarantee you. Do me a favor, please, people. 1,000 of you watching right now. Please hit that like button. It's really important to the football terrace. Nikhil here says Klopp generally drains out the players. Does everyone remember Klopp's last season at Dortmund? Do you know what? And that isn't even Klopp's fault. That's Klopp's style. So it's about the club replenishing, refreshing, refurbishing, rejuvenating, helping him to rejuvenate that squad. Bitter Terry. Bro, I'm not bitter at all. If you're interpreting this, your interpretation of my bitterness, I think is a reflection of your emotions. I'm not bitter at all. I'm just speaking real here. I'm just speaking honestly about how I see things. I really do. The excuses from Liverpool fans tell me you're shook. But you're shook and you're angry mainly at your own club. But you have this reluctancy to want to put them down. So what you tend to do is you deflect it elsewhere. Let's focus on Man United getting awarded penalties. Let's focus on people that have injured a couple of our players. That for me is what you're doing, and I'm standing by it. Your cat needs a wash, Terry. No, it doesn't. It's like a kind of suede thing. So you see, if you do that, you get what I'm saying? That suede, bruv. Doesn't need washing. Some right facts. Why are people acting like Liverpool would be drab like this to the end of the season? What if they pick up form? Has anyone thought about that? Yeah. That's why I've said Liverpool are still going to win the league. What I'm saying is they need to improve. My what I find interesting is this ignoring of the fact that they're on decline still, a factual decline of points per game, which should matter. And they still are favourites. They still can turn it around. My point is they have to improve on form to win the league. They can't stay where they are. They can't stand still anymore. They have to get better. It's a fact. It's just that. That's all that's being said. But the response you often see is, nah, it's all fine. It's all keep calm, carry on. Really? It's not going to end well, bro. It's not going to end well. Terry, your thoughts on today's Chelsea City game? Chelsea should win. Chelsea should win today. Chelsea should win this football match, in my opinion. They really should. There's no doubt about it in my mind. They should be winning with the volume of players that City have out. But they're on their knees right now, Chelsea. They need a big response, and they need it quick. A big response, and they need it quick. James here, Liverpool fan, says, I'm not shook. My mind is bulletproof. Our form is bad. Yes, I agree, but we will start picking up form. And maybe you will. And maybe you will. And like I've said already, you need to. And that's all that's being said. You're still favourites to win the league. You're still the best team in England. You're still, a lot of people would debate it. I still think you're the best team in Europe. And then in turn, the best team in the world. I really do. And injuries have taken their toll, but I'm not giving you a pass for that, because every team, every season has injuries, and you just got to deal with them. And a club the size of Liverpool, United, Chelsea, Arsenal, City, Spurs, they have no excuse for still not having a strong squad. We're not Leicester, we're not Everton's, we're not Wolves, we're not Burnley's, who 2 or 3 injuries quite literally decimate their squads. There's an injury to Jimenez at Wolves. They had to bring on a CDM and put him in a striker role yesterday. Missed a really good opportunity at the end to win it. They had to put a CDM in as a striker, because even with the money they've got, their squad isn't as thick and as deep and as luxurious as a Liverpool's. I'm just not having it. If you'd have put your hands in your pocket properly this summer and bought a replacement for Lovren, or just renewed Lovren's deal for a year because you weren't willing to spend, you'd have adequate cover at the back. It's your fault. It's not Klopp's fault, but it's the club's fault. But they're one and the same. Joshy here, another member, says, we, United, need to go through gears and improve loads to win the league, but I expect a title challenge this season. I didn't think I'd say that after our summer transfer window. I agree with you. Man United to win the league need to improve. I wouldn't say that sort of tenfold or anything like that, but Man United need to improve in terms of the win percentage by another. We've got to aim for another 10%. We've got to aim for another 10% level of improvement if we've got any chance of winning, because I do think Liverpool will kick on. I do think Liverpool might get to February, March and go on that run. I'll stand by what I said maybe 3 weeks ago now. The first team to put a 7, 8, maybe a 9-game winning run together, if that's plausible, that team will win the league. If nobody does put a run on of that level, then it's open season. But if Liverpool from this point onwards say they win their next 7 games, which they're capable of doing, there'll be title challenges, because I think there's going to be a lot more inconsistency below them, and they will create enough gap. If Man United, by the way, go on to win the next 5, 6 games, because we're on a 2-game winning streak, could win the league, as long as nobody else is doing it. Right? Do you get where I'm coming from? It's one team. No team has done it yet this year. I don't think anyone's won more than 4 games on the bounce. I think that's the best streak that's happened so far this year. So if someone can get themselves to 7, 8, 9, I think it could be curtains. I really do, because of how close everybody else is. Everyone taking points off one another. But it's going to be an interesting season. And listen, don't write Chelsea off. Even though they're on their knees right now, Spurs looked like that a few games ago. Suddenly Spurs are 4 points off the top. Spurs win their next couple of games. All it takes is for Man United and Liverpool to drop a few points. And Liverpool and Man United, it's inevitable. In the next 2 games for the club, one of them's dropping points. Fact, because they play each other. So great opportunity now for Tottenham. Great opportunity for Tottenham to get themselves, not they're back in the race, but to really put that pressure on. A comment here says these gassed up Manx haven't beaten a recognized top side yet in the league, but still saying 21 is coming. Muppets. listen. There are quite a few of the Ollie outers that are pushing 21 is coming agenda so they can turn on Ollie when it doesn't happen. We are underdogs to try and win a league title. We know this. We haven't beaten a top 6 team yet in the Premier League this year. No. But you know what's ironic about that? Barring the Moyes season, our top 6 record every other year has been pretty damn good. And yet we've been nowhere near this position in January in those years. So drop me out. And just like Liverpool fans saying we'll kick on and we'll improve, I think Man United's record against the bigger teams will improve also. I really do. And listen, it's an interesting one for me where as long as our points per game average continues to grow in the direction that it is, I don't care who we're picking them points up against. Man United's biggest problem in the last 8 years has been our inconsistent performances against the teams in the bottom half of the table. It's actually atrocious, the amount of those teams that we have lost to and dropped points to over the course of the last 8 years. That for me has been a much bigger problem than our record against the top 6 sides. I remember some seasons under LVG and Jose, I swear we were top of the top 6 table, if you like, but we were finishing outside the top 4. So yes, that top 6 form was imperative for us not being even lower down the league table. But you play far more matches against teams outside the top 6 than you do inside. And maybe now that all the top 6 are a lot closer, everyone's going to be taking points off one another. So you might finish top of that table. But you look at Liverpool right now, they've struggled against Fulham. They've struggled against West Brom. They've struggled against Brighton, Newcastle. These were teams that Man United beat. So for me, I'd be more concerned about that, bruv. Arsenal battered West Brom and Brighton. Not Brighton on the scoreline, but in the play. So listen, I'm relaxed because we're not even favourites, bruv. We might even be in a race, but we ain't expected to win it, bruv. You know what I mean? We're Dwayne Chambers here up against Usain Bolt. Yes, we're kind of 35, 40 meters into the race and we're neck and neck with Usain Bolt, but everybody expects Usain Bolt to go and push on. They're simple and as straightforward as that, bruv. Josh here says, big up the underdogs. Nothing suits United more than being written off. Absolutely. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Terry, if City win today with 6 players out, where does that leave City in the title challenge and where does it leave Chelsea? That's a really good question. I think City, a lot of people are looking at City as being dark horses, and I get that. I'm still yet to be convinced that they're bought in, that they're still bought in to the Pep way. There seems to be just a reluctancy there. There seems to be a spark missing. They win today, though. They win their game in hand. Mathematically, they're in it. And maybe that will give them the impetus. Maybe when they can smell it again, it will give them that sort of that reinvigorate them in many ways. Maybe it will. A super chat here from Riaz says the bitterness towards Man United shows how big we are. Great show, Terry. Enjoy hearing you talk without eye test. I appreciate that, my brother. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Dinesh here, another one of our lovely members, says, morning, Terry. New generation of Liverpool fans have never, ever witnessed them being favourites to win the Premier League, so they don't know how to act. Haunted Radio, I hear that, bro. Haunted Radio says, Terry, do you think Ollie is on our players that we can't allow Liverpool to qualify our record? I think you meant equal our record. I hope so to a degree. So when Liverpool were crowned champions last year, I remember how I felt, and of course, as a fan of their biggest rivals, I felt a bit hurt. I felt annoyed, but I really felt motivated. I felt really motivated to want to fight, not physically, fight back. And I remember doing a show and thinking, we have got to mobilize here. We have got to push forward here. We have got to fight as a football club to progress from this stage. We have to. This should be the moment that's going to awaken us as sleeping giants. And if this squad and this manager can't be motivated and push themselves to next levels, by the way, they have, then they have no business being here. And I was going back through some old footage the other day, just watching some shows back. And Aaron was talking about maybe 2.5 months ago, where with this squad, he wants to see Solskjaer push on. He basically said, show me something. And as it stands right now, the squad and the manager have answered him. They just have. Continue to improve week in, week out in points per game, which should matter because the more games you win, the more points per game you get. We've caught up with the best team in Europe as it stands right now. You know, we've improved that home form. We've even got rid of that thing that they were moaning about a few weeks ago where we're conceding first. That's gone. Like, Man United fans right at this moment should be happy with the progression, and they should be happy with the direction that we're going in. I know a lot of people want instant success. They want it now. They want the trophies now. They want the accolades now, and everything has to be now. But life isn't always that simple. It's always a growth. There's always an area of growth that you need. And I'm happy with the progression. I'm happy with where we stand. And I'm happy with the improvements that the club have made. It's been excellent. It really has been. NG Music here for Super Chat says, yo, if United are an average team and we are on the exact same points as Liverpool, then they must be pretty average too, or at least performing at an average level. I completely understand where you're coming from with that. Terry, another member comment here says, Terry, do you think Jose would have gotten this far with our current squad benefiting from transfer additions? I feel Jose can't handle player power now. Well, player power shouldn't be a thing to a degree. But we know that Jose, Jose didn't get us here. What didn't help? Okay, what didn't help Jose? The season that Jose had, where he came second on a game to game ratio, we were in a better position than we are under Ollie right now. That's a fact. But everything's contextual. I said at that time that we turned on him too soon because we were so far behind City, and we should have focused on ourselves as opposed to being overtly jealous of our rivals. Use your rivals as motivation to keep pushing, but focus on yourselves, improve yourselves. Because if we would have carried on progressing under Jose, the squad, the club, the fans, as united as possible, we may have been the team to pounce upon City's regression. Maybe we would have been. But we didn't put ourselves into that position because, it ain't good enough. Let's chop and change again. Let's chop and change again. Let's chop and change again. Sometimes we have to look at doing things differently. Maybe continuity is the way forward. And I know that we can all be emotional and we can react, and things can go wrong. But maybe we just need to look at a bit more continuity rather than just a continual chopping and changing. I understand if your club's in an absolutely abhorrent run of form, like you're getting dragged into a relegation fight, you haven't won a game in 10. If you decide that a manager has to go, it makes sense. If you've got huge problems in the dressing room, etc. But United didn't. One thing I would say under Ollie, which is very different from the LVG and Jose eras, there hasn't been the problems in the dressing room. They've tried to start them. There's been murmurings of it happening. You know, during the first international break after the drumming of Tottenham, we were being told by the media that we're heavily interviewing Potts. There's 5 games to save his job. And all we were simply stating is this is nonsense. Sack him now if you don't want him. This 5 games to win your job nonsense it's just toxic for the club. But what a man Ollie has been to get himself through that, to keep his squad on side, to keep everybody fighting. It's absolutely astounding. It's astounding what he's been able to achieve. Not as a trophy, but to get through that turmoil. Most of the people out there abusing him, ripping him, ridiculing him, laughing at him, bantering him would be the first people in the world to complain and cry if they were treated like that in the midst of doing their job. What a man to get himself through that. Terry, how do you feel when Liverpool fans compare what they went through with what we're going through now? I lived through their bad times and it was rotten, but everything is exaggerated these days. Nick P, I don't know what you mean, Nick P. When Liverpool compare what they went through to what you mean in terms of not winning leagues and everything else. look, there are always going to be similarities in how things are. I feel like with Man United has been harder in the last 8 years because you've had social media to help perpetuate things. There's been somewhere to go to talk about it. So it can often, when you're going through bad times and you're talking through the bad times and other people are experiencing the same things, it can sometimes perpetuate the situation. It can magnify it. It can engulf it somewhat. And I think there are elements of that that are therapeutic, cathartic, and enable you to work through it. But then there's also that place of rage. And I actually think some Man United fans on social media have become addicted to the rage culture. They want to be angry. You know, I've seen, we have Man United fans that come on the show and are sometimes more angry. When we win, they're angry that opponents weren't better. And I'm sort of like, do you really want Man United to lose? Or is your life a stage where being frustrated, I mentioned that word already, is it cathartic for you? Do you always need it to make yourself feel whole? I don't know. There's something about it that's really interesting. So Liverpool didn't have to suffer with social media being a place to sort of dwell in the doldrums of the league where it was all going wrong. But in terms of the actual football sense, yeah, Liverpool have been through this. But equally, you know, it was only like 3.5 seasons ago that Man United finished in front of Liverpool in the league. You know, that season where Jose comes second, things move and turn and change very quickly. And I think what happened in the last 3 years when social media hit its absolute peak and pomp is just, for some reason, there was this weird notion. And I think it must have stayed in my head for a while that City and Liverpool were here forever. And they were always going to be getting 95 plus points a season. Nobody was ever going to get near him again. But history tells us that's not true. And that's already come to fruition this season. I think. Terry, with Poch joining PSG, if United don't extend on his contract, who do you think United will go for? Honestly, I have no idea. And it's not even something that I spend any time thinking about, because as happy as I am with our league position now that we're in, the club ain't thinking about this, and I don't trust the club. The club should have picked a manager by now who they would think about replacing him with, and they should be coaching him. They should be talking to him. They should be doing that due diligence behind the scenes. And it isn't to undermine Ollie, it's to have a contingency plan. So when I've run teams before, I'll give you an example. Let's talk about YouTube. If I know KJ could be leaving me soon, it would be stupid of me to not start looking and seeking a replacement for Midnight Vibes. Equally, if I find someone, this guy's great, he'd be an amazing replacement. Amazing replacement. I think he'd be great. I think he'd be brilliant. It's about me making sure that person is ready when they're needed. So Man United made mistakes for me, Klopp, and with Pep, and with Ancelotti. All were approached at different times since before Fergie retired and after Fergie retired. And we never got our timings right with any of them. We missed all of them. And they're all brilliant managers. And Ancelotti coming into this club sort of 9 years ago would have been, a lot different to now. That's the level of manager that should have been replacing Sir Alex Ferguson. People of the highest degree, people of the highest standard. But we didn't do it. And that's because, that's why I don't trust them now. So for me, what we should have is a contingency plan. We should be knowing who we want, why we want them, do they fit our system and style. Forget if they have a bad 6 months in the lead up to them joining us. Don't let that deter you, because you should know what that manager is about. Your due diligence should be so airtight, bruv. Tupperware level due diligence, bruv. That food ain't going stale. But we don't. And because we don't have that, I don't pay any attention to it, because it's just wasted energy. It really is wasted energy. If Bruno is man-marked, there's no way we are going to win. I wouldn't agree with that. Bruno gets man-marked every game. Bruno attracts players around him like moths to light. That creates huge space for others. And it's one of the reasons why he plays. Sometimes it's infuriating. I get that because he loses the ball. But it's why he always plays very quick flick passes, first time passes that don't always come off, because he attracts people into him very quickly because of his potency. And he tries to release other people rather quickly. So United will be absolutely fine. They really will. They really, really will. Keep smashing that like button, ladies and gentlemen. 1,100 people watching right now, which is amazing for a Sunday morning. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace and signing up to our Discord server. It means a great deal to us. It really, really does. I'm loving some of the arguments you guys are having. Leslie here says, with City crawling back to the top with 1-0 wins, don't be surprised if they compete for the rest. But if they don't get a striker in January, they can start kissing other teams' asses and be content with fourth. Maybe. I'm not. I just something about City I'm just not bought into this season. Why do people hate Ollie? Ollie's a byproduct, I suppose, of the 8 years of. I think that wanting Ollie out and not thinking he's a good enough manager is very different from hating on him. The people that hate on him, the people that are publicly saying they're still Ollie out even if we go top, if it goes wrong, it's win-win because they get to push their Ollie out campaign again. That just shows you the mindset. Some people are purely here for clout and they want attention, and they know that on social media, ripping into your own team gets you a lot of attention, especially from rivals. There's that element there. Some of these people are just fake Man United fans. They started supporting the club because socially it was something they could brag about. Picking Man United as your team for many years gave you a social standing in sports conversations. You know, you were barely bantered. You were Manchester United. The worst you would get is, well, you're not from Manchester. That's about it, right? So I think people, they picked Man United because it was instant. So a lot of things in life, to get certain things in social statuses, finances, the postcode where you live, you know, the car you drive, the security that you can have, the clothes you wear. A lot of these things are very difficult to instantly get unless you're wealthy already. They're very hard to get. You've got to work a long time. But when you pick like your sports teams, when you pick your political stances and stuff, you can get instant status from that nowadays because of social media. You can get instant kind of, oh, you must be of good stock because you support X. You must have great taste because you like listening to Y. So people often pick musicians and political figures, artists and football teams based on the social status that club provides. Man United, in the last 8 years, that's eroded. Being a Man United fan now makes you look a clown. It's embarrassing. It doesn't fit the social standings that these people were seeking when they picked them. I didn't pick Man United for that reason. I picked Man United for a few things. The main one being David Beckham was from the same town as me. He played there. But I fell in love with the football club. I don't want Man United to get relegated. I don't want us to be in the conference. I don't want us to be playing in the Ryman League, if the Ryman League even exists. But if we did, I would still support them as a club and as a team. I could be angry. I can hate everything that's going on, but I will never turn my back on the club. I will never feel embarrassment overtly for being a Man United fan. There's days where you feel it and, oh, that was such a bad thing we've done. But I would still back my club through thick and thin because I love them. I love them. The people that hate Ollie don't love Man United. They love the social status that Man United once upon a time gave them. And now they don't have that. That love has turned to hate because their reason for picking the club wasn't born out of a deep-rooted passion and an attraction and a bond that's unbreakable. It was a conscious choice of who's going to give me the best social standing in the playground amongst my friends. Man United would. I'll pick them then. It was like picking food off a menu. It wasn't done in the right way. So now with social media, it's very easy for them to hate on the club, hate on the manager, and be negative. What they're now doing goes back to the first point. They're now using Man United that have been in the mud for years as another way of gaining social status. Oh, look how honest. Look how great a Man United fan. So good to meet a Man United fan who'll speak the truth about their club, even if they go a little bit too far, because it's the twerking mentality. It's giving them that status back, but in reverse. The worst thing for these Man United fans is they either want one thing. They either want us to stay crap, or they want us to become the undisputed best, so they get their social status either way. The worst thing for them is for us to become, oh, we win the Premier League this year, and then we go 2 years without it. Being that, like, oh, we're a very good team, but we're not the best anymore, because that middle road, it's no good for these people. It's no good for them. I do think that's where a lot of this stems from. Like, because hate's a big word, but the way some people treat Ollie, the hate's there. And emotionally, for me, I could never hate the guy. Like, barring him doing something mad. I'm talking, the kind of thing I'm talking about in life. Do you know what I'm saying? There we go. Let's do a few more of these comments here. Let's do a few more. Terry, if Beckham was manager with the same stats as Ollie, would he be loved? Probably more so than Ollie, but people would still turn on him. Like, people have got to a point where they don't care. Look how a lot of these same fake Reds have just like ripped the class of '92 apart and tried to take their legendary status away just because they've had opinions that don't suit theirs. And it's because those opinions have damaged the social status of it all. Because remember, there are certain players that are fashionable to be fans of and unfashionable to be fans of. And the same people that are Ollie out pick the fashionable players to be fans of. It's just do your own research and look at it. There's a clear pattern the whole way through. It's as simple. And by the way, I don't dislike these people for doing it. It's their choice. It's the way they do things. I just got to a point where I laugh at them now. I used to get angry about it, and now I just laugh. I'm like, yeah, bro, you're so transparent, so easy to read, and you know that I'm onto you. And not that they cared, and most of them don't even. If I would be staggered if any of them even knew who I was. Any of them. So I don't pay them any time or attention because they don't care about me. I don't care about them. But anyone who hates Ollie is not a Man United fan, and I don't care if that. Well, you can't tell people what they shouldn't think and feel. No, I'm not saying what you can and can't feel. I'm telling you, if you love this football club deeply, you support it through thick and thin. If you love the tapestry and the history of this football club, which you should if you're a real true supporter, you can dislike Ollie's manager. You can think he isn't good enough, but you wouldn't ridicule him. You wouldn't abuse him, and you wouldn't say you hate him. You wouldn't be happy with either winning the league or not winning the league, because either way, you get joy out of it. That you can't. I don't even need to delve into that deeply. I don't need to psychoanalyze that. That just means you're not a fan of Man United. That means you're a fan of the reaction that happens due to a Man United victory or a Man United defeat. You're a fan of the reaction as opposed to what the club is doing. It means you're not supporting the club's endeavors. You're supporting the outcome of the club in either which way. You're literally going to, celebrate with us if the trophy's lifted, but you're also going to dance on our grave if we don't win it. You're not a fan. You're not part of the family, bruv. Like, simple and as straightforward as that. Stop beating around the bush. What do you mean? I don't even know what you're talking about, bruv. I'm just talking about fans like these people in general here. You see all the Twitter accounts, don't you, where they don't have their real names? The United Allies, the United Jacobs, the United Rizzle Dizzles, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? All these accounts, they're the ones I'm chatting about here, bruv. They're the ones I'm talking about. They're the ones that have no love for this football club. None, in my opinion. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if 85% of them weren't actually Man United fans. They just had Man United profiles. And the same works for all those accounts. The Arsenal ones, the Chelsea ones, the Liverpool ones, those nameless, faceless accounts. That's what they do. They're just after that little buzz. They're happier when you lose. When someone's happier when you lose and when you win, can't be a fan. It's as simple and it's as straightforward as that. There we go. Every Man United fan should want the best for their club. They do. But they're very clever as well, though, because what they do is they hide behind that as why they overly criticize. I've got high standards. And because my standards are high, I expect us to win now. Yeah, but we had 8 years of decline. You can't go from 8 years of decline to straight back to winning the league in a year, bruv. Yeah, but that's what I want. Yeah, but your expectations are unrealistic. Do you know what I'm saying? It don't make sense. It don't make sense. It's just crazy. Let's do a few more. Terry, I've legit seen their profiles with Ollie as a clown. How can someone do that to the legend of our club and be called fans? I agree to a degree. But you've got to look at when these agendas start and how. Most do it straight away. There'll be an Ollie out account with a new manager comes in within a few weeks. You'll see it all change, and they'll have the new manager's profile. And they start from the beginning, and no one pays them any attention at the start. It's only when things start to go wrong, and then people are like, right, I need my fix. I need my anger. Oh, look at that account. Oh, he's saying all the things I'm feeling. Oh yeah, right. That's it. Boom. I'm on them. That's what they do. But it's all good, man. It's all good. I actually quite enjoy it now. I legitimately enjoy it now. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. I find it quite funny, if I'm being honest. Because you know what they're going to write. You know what they're going to say. You know what's coming next, essentially. Do you know what I mean? So that's it. That's it. 7 points in the first 6 games and still have a squad on your side. Ollie's man management is something else, but no one wants to talk about it because he don't hug his players like some others. Can we win the league with Ollie? I'm Ollie undecided. I don't know if we can, and not winning it within this season doesn't completely answer the question, because nobody anticipated a title push this year, right? So let's say we come second this year, 5 points off the top. I'm willing to give him that third season, more than willing to give him that third season to see what he can do. Let's say we go into the third season, he finishes 5th, 25 points off top. I think we completely, categorically get our answer. And one thing I have said a lot over this course of time is about giving a manager time to see through his contract. The one thing we have not tried in the whole of this this capitulation, experiment, rebuild, culture rebuild, all this nonsense we've done after Fergie left, we've never let a manager see their contract through to fruition. Why not? It's only one more year of failing if it goes wrong. We've had one more year of it going wrong isn't going to change things. Not for me as a Man United fan. Do you know what I mean? It just isn't. It isn't. But not seeing things through and not allowing a manager his time hasn't worked either. So, yeah, maybe we've got to look at doing things a little differently. But listen, everyone who's tuned in this morning, thank you very much. As always, you know how much we appreciate it here at the Football Terrace. Smash the like button, hit the share button. We're back later on today covering Chelsea versus Man City. Midnight vibes at midnight as well. But until then, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll